Not sure if you can tell right now, we're not in our usual spot. We're just downstairs at the moment, but the team news is in ahead of United's final league game of the season against Bournemouth, and it's the identical lineup to the one we saw selected on Sunday. So David De Gea in goal, Valencia, Smalling, Blind, Cameron, Borthwick, Jackson, Carrick, Rooney, Mata, Marshall, Lingard, and of course Rashford as well, who are in the team. So interesting that Louis van Gaal has stayed with the same lineup. I don't know if that's... Hang on. Got Steve here. Steve, you seen the team?
No, I'm just loading it up.
It's the same as Sunday.
That's interesting.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is, does everybody know there's a game on tonight? Because there's none got people in here. Is it the same bench as well? It looks like it's the same bench, doesn't it? No, Young
it was the same 18.
Young wasn't on the bench, was it, that weekend? No, Young wasn't on. Young wasn't on the bench. Memphis, yeah. Pereira, yeah. Strange.
Surprised he hasn't rested some players with the cup final coming up.
I really am surprised. We thought this would be an opportunity for a couple more youngsters to maybe get some debuts. And do you know what? Even from a tactical point of view, to keep everyone off his back, he might have played a couple of youngsters. A couple of youngsters come on and do well. It might quieten the crowd down a little bit. Although looking at this, honestly, this is ridiculous. This is like a League Cup match, or worse even. This is really bad. I don't know. I've got no feelings either way about the game. It doesn't matter now, does it? That's why I wanted to just see us just go for it. Just like start Pereira, start a couple of the younger lads, start a couple of fringe players, rest up some of the more important ones like Martial and that ahead of the final, and then go to Wembley on Saturday and actually finish the season on a high. Because how stupid are we going to look tonight if we pick up some injuries in this meaningless game? That's my only concern, really. So, weird.
What do you think how do you think the players will approach the game? Could potentially be Louis van Gaal's last game at Old Trafford. Thoughts on that? And how do you think they should approach the game?
I think they're professional footballers. I think they'll approach it, you know, the way everybody's expecting them to approach it. They should go out there and put on a good performance, see the season out in relative style, get everyone pumped up for weekend, because we've still got a trophy to go and win this season. It's a really weird, bizarre ending to the season, isn't it? The anticlimax of and the chaos of what happened on Sunday, the fact that we can't get Champions League qualification without winning 19-0, which, you know, we've all joked about it, but it's not going to happen.
Can I before I ask Steve this question, we want you guys to ask us some questions, so get your comments in and ask us some questions, whether it's for me, Steve, both of us, on the match today, on the future. We've got one. I've got a question. Can you just wait? Do you think Louis van Gaal is still in a job because, although it's 19 goals, mathematically Champions League football is still possible?
No, I think the club are probably waiting until the end of the season. I'm not sure the reasons why we did it with Moyes with 4 games to go and didn't allow him to see the season out, but there is the opportunity to win a cup. So I think the club are still thinking, well, we're probably the favourites going into Saturday to win the cup. And there's all that thing about his resignation earlier on in the season and that he offered it and we rejected it and stuff like that. So I think around those times it was maybe... This is what confuses me, because Louis van Gaal doesn't talk, and the things that he says, he could avoid certain questions and he could avoid saying certain things that he doesn't avoid saying if he knew he was going. He says things like he's staying, but that could be him just taking the piss out of the press that I've had him off all season. So I think under Moyes, obviously, there was literally nothing left to play for. There's still something left to play for here, and I think, yeah, the fans have got on his case a little bit, but you know what? He's not a bad guy at the end of the day, is he? And if he agreed to stay on till the end of the season because the board wanted him to, then that might have been an agreement that was put in place where he's in place for the cup final, and then he's gone, and he'll be allowed to resign, or he'll be allowed to walk off on a relative high, winning a title in the UK. And as I've been saying for 3-4 months now, I'm pretty sure Mourinho, is on his way. I'm pretty sure that's all getting boxed off. So why sack him now? Just cause a bit of chaos. Put Giggs in charge. It's just it's that drama and circus around the club that we don't need in it if we did sack him. Because yeah, I can understand the reasons for doing it. There's reasons why we didn't do it earlier in the season, and I think it would just be a lot less pressure for everybody if we do it after the weekend with a title in the bag.
What was the question from the Nadeem Nisa? Thanks for.
Think about Jose to United from Sky sources.
Okay, so firstly, Sky sources are basically Twitter sources, are basically Gwilym Ballbag Elegay, or whatever his name is, making stuff up as they go along. They react to social media, and they also have a bookies that they have to worry about. But they have contradicted themselves a number of times this week and gone back on that and said Jose.
I want to talk about sauces because Nando's have just released a Peronaise.
Oh, it's amazing.
In a squirty bottle.
No, they've had the Peronaise all the time, but they've released
it in my fridge, but they've just now got a squirty bottle Peronaise. That's beautiful. A game changer. That is an absolute game changer.
How hot do you have it at Nando's?
Look at me. Do I look like the kind of guy that goes for lemon and herb? I go
possibly. I was going to say a reason.
Straight.
People might think it's racialist if I say that.
Man, I go with spicy food all day long, mate. I'm a fat guy. I go with
Ring of Fire. But basically, sorry, one step before we move on to the next question. Jose Mourinho by Sky Sports. I would take it with a pinch of salt. They've basically said, and this is their exclusive.
Peri salt.
They've basically said Jose Mourinho is coming to Manchester United if Louis van Gaal leaves. To be honest, if Full-Time Devils tweeted that as an exclusive, you'd all rip us to shreds. Would you not? So, take it with a pinch of salt. What's the other question, Chris?
From Osman, who are we?
Osman, thanks for your question, mate.
We can win 20. Oh, sorry, no, forget that.
Do you think we can win 20-0? No.
Not even on FIFA.
I don't even think we could win 20-0 if we had 2 games and we could do it on aggregate. Abbas Hussein. Will De Gea stay? We've heard some talk today that he'll stay if Jose is in charge. Interesting, because they've both got the same agent. So it could be stuff coming out from the agent. I think David De Gea will stay. Me and producer Chris had this conversation last week. And I said I'm kind of convinced that De Gea's staying. But he made me feel a bit stupid by saying, look, if Louis stays and we've got no Champions League football, why would he stay? And that's probably right. So can you see Jose saving the situation?
Listen, every leak, every announcement, every newspaper report, every press conference, someone is telling you something to get an agenda out. No one really goes into, I mean, Louis does sometimes, but not all the time. No one goes into press conferences to tell you the exact truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Everybody goes in with an agenda.
It's like politicians, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always an agenda behind something. Never take anything at face value. Do you know what taught me that? The 2009 build-up to the Wembley Champions League final. The Rome Champions League final, where Cristiano Ronaldo interviewed himself for BBC, I think. Interviewed himself. He took both parts and asked himself about the Real Madrid thing, right? And he was like, Real Madrid, are you going to Real Madrid? And then he answered himself. He's like, oh, why always the question about Real Madrid? No, I'm staying here. I'm happy here. I'll be here come the end of the summer. Guess what?
He already knew
he signed for Real Madrid. He completely and utterly had our pants down. So don't listen to anything anybody say, because he didn't need to do that. He absolutely mugged us off. He could have just lied. I'm not talking about Real Madrid. I'll talk about the football. But he didn't. Every time a player, an agent, a manager, a club, or anybody, and like Adam said, especially Sky, who also own a bookies, when Sky put out something like the odds have changed on Jose Mourinho to Paris, do you know why? Because you run the odds. You just changed them, like on purpose. So like everyone's got an agenda in everything that they say, apart from fan channels, because we say what we think.
I never trust anything that's run by Murdoch. A newspaper, a TV channel. Zlatan or no Zlatan. With Jose, yes. Without Jose, no.
Yeah, I think it's on. Like, I think both of them are coming.
Would Zlatan's arrival be detrimental to the, or positive, because it could go work either way, to Rashford and Marshall's development?
I think it would be good for him. I think they could learn from him in ways that, if you listen to the Class of 92 lads talk in awe of Eric Cantona, the things that Cantona did, the way he stayed behind training, I believe Zlatan's the same.
Do you think he's a leader like that, though? Because I can understand the comparisons in the way they play sometimes.
Yeah, well, Cantona, you wouldn't have said was a leader when he came. He was the enfant terrible. He was the pain in the arse that Leeds wanted to get rid of. He was the guy that couldn't find a club.
Cheers, Leeds.
He was the guy that everybody hated. He got kicked out of French football and didn't have a club. He went and played six-a-side for Sheffield Wednesday. Eric Cantona, one of the greatest players to ever grace the Premier League. Right, so there's different styles of leaders. Some are Brian Robson, some are Gary Neville, some are Roy Keane style, where they just intimidate you to death. Some of them are Cantona, where they just go and do things. And Cantona used to take these youth lads on a training pitch and practice with them and make them better players. And they looked at his work rate and went, he's the best in the club, and he's going out there after training I'm doing that. And what happened out of that? We ended up winning the European Cup because of the core of lads that learnt off Cantona. Now, I think Zlatan could be very similar. Excuse me. Because I believe Zlatan's like an absolute perfectionist, trains more than he should do, even at this age. So if he's doing that, and I mean, I think he overrates himself, right? Big time. But that sort of confidence can rub off on other players. And sometimes, like maybe Memphis can look at Zlatan and go, do you know what? He actually ain't all that, but he pretends he is in his head. And that's elevated him to the player that he is, because he's not as good as he thinks he is, but he is still pretty damn good. So maybe Memphis can learn some, I don't know, coping techniques and strategies, and maybe Zlatan can put an arm around him and tell him that he's this, that, and the other. And he might.
I think there's a lot people don't see with Zlatan. I watched an interview with him on Sporting. He was on Sky, funnily enough. Sporting Mavericks, that's the one, with Zlatan. The George Best one's great as well. He's the greatest Maverick. But it was very interesting the way he spoke. And although he's very arrogant, I think, like you say, he could be infectious to that group. He could turn that group into thinking, oh, we're going to battle for fourth too. Hold up. We've got someone that can fire us to the league title and spearhead this.
He would come with Mourinho, I think. That's the package deal that you're getting. One doesn't come without the other. So if you do get Zlatan and you do get Mourinho, the combination of those two, telling that dressing room full of young, very talented, real potential that we've got in that dressing room, that could really lead to something.
What I'm smiling about? I hope it happens now. I hope we get Zlatan and Jose. And I've been undecided about both of these in the past. I never wanted either of them at the club. But right now, just thinking about it, Zlatan and Jose hate Pep Guardiola. Manchester United hate Manchester City. If we get Zlatan and Jose, we're winning the league next year.
That's a bold claim, mate.
It's not stupid, though, right?
I think we can finish above City. I think they're going to have a bigger transition than we've just had, to be honest.
Yeah, just peg me back. Just peg me back a little bit.
Samran 94, Joachim Low as manager.
Samran 94, Joachim Low. I've never kind of... Joachim Low, he's never struck me as someone that would come and do well. He seems like an international manager, and that's all he'll ever be.
No, I disagree. I think he's a good manager. I think that's the sort of appointment that... John, I spoke and people completely got the wrong end of the stick when I wrote the Mark Hughes article, where I said I want the club to explore some other names. I'm going to explore some other names. I'm sick of talking about...
You want Mark Hughes, basically, innit?
Pep or Jose. I was sick of talking about it, so I wanted to look elsewhere.
Steve wants Stokes manager, lad.
So I think Joachim Low could probably be in that sort of bracket. This next appointment for the club, I'm very certain it's Jose regardless, but this appointment or the next appointment or any appointment going forward, I just want to know that the club has done due diligence. I want to know that they've interviewed people. I'm sick of us anointing managers. What's all that about?
Do you think we have with Jose, though, if he comes?
Yeah.
Or do you think the club will have caved to the fans' pressure?
No, I think we've gone out and approached him and asked him to be the next manager. I don't think we've had an interview process where we've had a short list of candidates and we've spoke to them, asked them to present their ideas. Jose wrote this love letter, and we've gone on the back of that. Potentially, I could be wrong, but we've gone on the back of that and said, okay, do you want to be the manager from June? And he said yes, and Bob's your uncle, but we've not gone out there and we've not looked at him against Joachim Low, against, even the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and all that lot. They've got more of a right to be in the hat than Ryan Giggs has for me at the moment. That's what I don't understand, where people are saying, yes, let's give it Giggs here. Yes, it's romantic and this, that, and the other, but it's also absolutely suicidal because he's got no backup.
And we haven't got the time to take that risk. If we just come onto it in the back of a league-winning season, maybe.
Do you know what? I wanted Jose to be the guy that replaced Fergie because I knew he would come in, cause absolute...
I wanted Mark Hughes.
Shut up, right? I wanted him to come in, cause chaos, and that the Fergie era would have ended. We might have been successful with Mourinho as well in that time, but it didn't happen. We went to Moyes, and that was a Fergie appointment in every sense of the word. It was trying to be Fergie.
So what are your thoughts on Jonathan Waters replacing Wayne Rooney? He doesn't really want Mark Hughes, guys.
Your thoughts on Rashford making the 26-man in?
All I heard was Beast. Nivik Beast. Nivik the Beast.
Your thoughts on
Rashford in the squad, in the provisional squad. Steve's going to go for a nut shot, so I'm just going to face the wall. Basically, guys, the question was from Nivik the Beast, or something like that. Marcus Rashford's in the provisional squad. Steve, what's your thoughts without hitting me in the gangoolies?
Not asked. I don't really care for international football. I'm amazed Jack Wilshere's got in there. He's got one more Premier League appearance than me this season. What's all that about? I was one Premier League appearance away from being in that England squad by all accounts.
You know what? I can understand why Wilshere's in there. And this is... Oh, you got the bout. He got the bout, guys. We're all right. The one thing that I can understand why he's there is because when you look at the other people that are there, Delph, Milner, Henderson...
There? Why is this guy
hold on.
instead of Delph?
Hold on. Everyone's forgetting.
You play
Michael...
footy, mate?
Michael fucking Carrick.
I bet you're better than Delph, though, aren't you?
Michael Carrick.
Yeah.
This is the reason England have never been successful. Is they've never relied on football players that can keep the ball, and that's why I think Wilshere going.
It's not just keeping the ball; it's the pedigree and it's a tactical thing.
Oh yeah, guess what, Steve? There's a match tonight. In 44 minutes.
There's 4 people in that square. Oh, hang on.
10.
9. There's 9 including us. Oh, not including us. It's getting busy.
Steve can't count, guys. So the team news again. It's the same as Sunday, except we didn't have a game on Sunday. David De Gea, Valencia, Smalling, Blind, Cameron, Beckham, Jackson, Carrick, Rooney, Mata, Marshall, Rashford, and Lingard. I want to see Pereira. Free Pereira. Where is Pereira? And what scares me is, with someone like Fosu-Mensah, with someone like Rashford, I can see Jose giving them a chance if he comes in. Pereira hasn't had much first-team football. Jose, is this the last we've seen of the likes of Pereira and Januzaj if Jose comes in?
Januzaj, maybe. Who was I talking to this morning about him? Januzaj. I can see him going somewhere like...
Standard Liège.
No, Sunderland or something. Honestly, he's a talented player, and the reason why Van Gaal's not put any sort of faith in him whatsoever is tactically he's meant to be absolutely solid. Like, whoops. He's meant to be a bit dumb. So the reason that he just excelled under Moyes was Moyes went to him, listen, son, you just go out there and enjoy yourself. Right, lads, here's what the team's going to do. Right, and then Louis Van Gaal was trying to say to him, because we know Louis Van Gaal's got a very rigid system. Louis Van Gaal's supposed to have said to him, here's what I want you to do, and he's just been like, what? And that's why he's been binned off out on loan. And if that's the case, that's the case. I think Jose Mourinho comes in and he's a very similar tactical worker. You know, he wants his teams to have that sort of work ethic throughout the team. If that's the case, if what I've been told about Januzaj is true, he ain't surviving under Mourinho. And I think the best place for him, Everton, Sunderland, somewhere like that, somewhere he's going to play all the time. And you might see a good player if he's allowed to play with that freedom, but if he's not got a tactical nous...
David Moyes is favourite for the Celtic job. See a future for him at Celtic? Sorry, Brendan Rodgers is the one for that. He was one of them Muppets.
It's about his level, that, I think, isn't it?
He's in the Champions League, we're not.
Well, that's depressing. Teams from Malta get into the Champions League.
Imagine I don't. So, guys, there is a match going on, in case you didn't know. Steve, stay here. The team news again, David De Gea, Valencia, Smalling, Blind, Cameron, Beckham, Jackson. Then we got Mata, Rooney, Carrick, Rashford, Lingard, Marshall. Oh, yeah, who's here after for fan cams? We've got this guy, me. Start the Facebook now, and I'll join you in a minute. We've got me. We've got Ray Bobbins. We've got anyone else I've missed out? Plenty of other people. There's going to be 7,000 in Old Trafford tonight. So we're bound to speak.
We'll sit where we want.
Oh, where are you sitting today? I'm sitting behind Louis.
I'll come and sit with me.
All right, sad. All right. So, guys, my prediction for today's game, 0-0 half-time, 1-0 full-time. We're going to end the season with the old classic Louis van Gaal scoreline. Marshall's going to get the goal just to epitomise the season, our one shining light. David De Gea is going to save a penalty, which will be the last save he makes at Old Trafford. I hope not. I hope not. And then Louis van Gaal's speech. Oh, yeah, guys, if you're not watching the game and you can't get to the game, follow us on Snapchat and follow us on Twitter, because I'll be Snapchatting the speech and Steve will be Twittering. Is that the word? Twittering? You're going to Twitter the speech for everyone? Yeah?
Shut up, mate. Wrap this up.
All right. What's the score going to be?
19-4.
Ah, shit. And we just missed out.
We're playing rush keepers tonight, I think.
Do you remember? I was thinking last night.
Shut up, wrap it up. We've got stuff to do.
Oh, sorry. I got to wrap it up. Guys, I was going to talk about how last night I was thinking about Louis van Gaal's decision to play
Sergio. To play Sergio Romero in the first 4 games.
Imagine if we had David De Gea, would we have got more points and would we have not missed out on Champions League football by goal difference? So Louis van Gaal should have picked David De Gea in those first 4 games. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here right now. We're going to go get a pint or something like that and do a Facebook Live. So if you've enjoyed all of this, me waffling on.
Shut up, you ball bag!